PodcastOne presents the Steve Austin Show Classics.
All right, Vampiro joins me again, hour two. Vampiro, I want to talk, before we get into the moveset that you possessed inside the ring and who your influences were. When you first rolled into Mexico, you came with the braided hair, but you had pretty much the tattoos and the look. But you weren't wearing the heavy makeup yet. You maybe had a little bit of black around your eyes or some of the streaks above or below the eyes. And then, all of a sudden, the girls are going crazy. You're a white meat baby face. When did you decide to employ the white face paint and take another step, kind of towards the dark side with respect to the character of Vampiro?
Okay, well, when I started doing the eye thing, I was so shy that I wanted to hide my face. And they were like, you can't. That's what sells money, you fucking... You know what I mean? They were like, that's your draw. So there was a lot of the death metal scene and the black metal movement out of Norway and all that. A lot of the death metal musicians at the time had that look, the dark eyes and the little streak. I took it from thrash metal, you know what I mean? And that's where I got it from. And I started playing around with painting the face. I was just a fan of it, of the Road Warriors. So I kind of tried to copy them. And then I'm like, who am I kidding? And I went to see the Brandon Lee movie, and I was like, fuck, that's an awesome look, and I love it, and it's martial arts, and this and that, and Bruce Lee, and blah, blah, blah. So I tried to incorporate that because it's been about 5-6 years, and like anything else, I always thought you have to evolve if you want to stay relevant. So I tried to change up things as much as I could over the course of time. The big Vampiro change with the whole skull and all that is when I got involved with the Misfits, the hardcore punk band out in Lodi, New Jersey, and they were the first bands that was doing like horrorcore, scary movie type stuff, and just dressed in black leather and taking it to the dark side. So that was kind of my big influence. Right when I got into that is when Marilyn Manson broke. Right. So. And I was also, studying religions and getting into cults and all these kind of things, and it was just part of the show, bro.
So then if you know the Misfits, what is the heat between the Misfits and Danzig? Because I'm a big Danzig fan. I went to see his concert out here in L.A. many years ago when I first came out here. What was the heat between those guys? Because he used to be with them.
Yeah, you know what? There's about 100 million different stories, but I know it's between Jerry Olney, which would be the bass player, and Glenn. They got heat. Something happened. I know it's got a lot to do with publishing of the music, right. Ownership of the name, the logo, that. I didn't want to get too into it because It just was pushing buttons that I didn't need to know about.
Okay, so you decided to go ahead and put the the white face on, basically. So, man, when the promoters in Mexico saw this, because it's still Mexico, or is this WCW now?
That'd be WCW.
Okay, so all of a sudden you want to show up, you're in WCW. Oh, man, the political waters don't look good for you here. Did you just hit creative with this and you say, hey, here's how I'm going to come in, here's how I want to do my thing, or what?
I didn't ask, I just did it. Because I had been doing a version of it, right?
Right.
And they thought I was Mexican, which there's nothing wrong with that. But they would talk to me, and J.J. Dillon would be like, how come you move like that and you twitch and all this kind of thing, and why do the people like you so much? And then he would get somebody to translate it. And I'd be JJ. And he goes, oh, you speak English? And I'd be, well, yeah, you fuck. I'm from Canada. And I was like, I've been doing this rock and roll thing and studying and getting into vampire cults and all that for years. I said, it's kind of who I am. I don't know what else to do here because you guys ain't telling me anything. And so one day the Misfits were playing when we were doing the Monday Night Nitro. They were playing across the street in Minneapolis. And I went over there and I said, hey, I'm sorry. I'm a huge fucking fan. I got this crazy idea. And they literally just snuck in. And I said, guys, I want to try something. And Terry Taylor and JJ were like, yeah. Go ahead. And I saw you show up, and we walked out with the Misfits. It was like, what the fuck did he just do? And that's how that happened, man. That's exactly how it happened, bro. And J.J. Dillon was like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, JJ, you don't know the Misfits? That's not on your playlist?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, that was pretty much the good old boy club there at the end of WCW, and I was there. And they didn't get me in any way, shape, or form. But that's kind of how that all evolved.
When did you adopt, your moveset after the Great Muta? Because you told me that he was a huge influence on you.
Well, I started to hit a brick wall in Mexico, and it got to the point where, the Beatlemania phase is come and gone. Haku had been there. I went to my friend's house in Los Angeles, and he was a tape dealer. I didn't know that, when back then when guys used to sell videotapes.
Right.
And he played me an All Japan Women's videotape. I didn't know what I was watching. I was stunned. I couldn't even blink my eyes. I'd never seen anything like it. And I just bought his whole collection, and I just kept studying and watching this Japanese wrestling. And there was just the one guy who floored me. And because I seen him with pain and without pain, I didn't understand what the fuck was going on. It was Muda and Mudo, and I was like, the same fucking guy. And I was like, that's kind of like me. I paint my face sometimes I don't. Then I saw him work, and this guy is 6'4", and when he kicks, it just looks so impressive. That's when Norman Smiley told me, well, you should see UWF, where I used to work. And this guy, Takada, who does nothing but kick, and he's as tall as you. And that's when I first started seeing the guys with the kick pads.
Right.
And when I saw that UWF, the open palm strikes, the martial arts stance, and just that quickness and the popping and the quick kicks and the high kicks, I was like, fuck, I will never learn to be a wrestler, but I can certainly be a martial artist. And I started taking Taekwondo just so that I can get the movements down and the kicks looked authentic. And I always noticed that Muda would like pop and twitch and drop down on one knee and like kind of like semi going to a seizure before he did a big move. And I was like, that has got to be the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen.
Right.
So I started copying it. Then I get this tape from England, and I see this guy called Dynamite Kid.
Oh.
We all know Dynamite. I remember Dynamite from the Bulldogs, but I watched this guy who was like 20 years old, little Dynamite, before he hit the juice and all that shit. He would lock up, and it would be bam, and he'd pull a headlock, and it would be like pop, and he would fucking snap and pop, and I was like, holy shit, he looks so snug. He's gonna squeeze the guy's fucking head off.
Right.
So I stole all that stuff from those guys, watching those old tapes.
How long did it take you to really put together the game with respect to psychology and the inner workings of the ring?
I think after so much time, and then I started to get bored with the wrestling business, and I started to get more involved with choreographing, and I started to work on some TV shows, and I was really into the martial arts, and I was doing movie choreographed stuff and some stuff for soap operas in Mexico, and I really found it easy, and I thought this is really what I love to do. So I started to study fight scenes, and I started to take some courses in LA to learn how to put together fight scenes and to make it make sense. And then I went to Puerto Rico. And Puerto Rico was, at that time, it was like a combination of Latino-style wrestling with New York mindset because of the old-school guys down there. Long storytelling, long finishes, Japanese style.
Right.
So I said, hey, I'll come for free if you let me help in the office and learn how to be a booker. So that was kind of when I got the bug. And I did it in Italy, and then I did it a little bit in Japan, and I started to do it more and more in Mexico, and I just found that I had a niche for it. And Terry Taylor told me, he says, you're really good at this. And when I was in WCW, Terry was kind of like my babysitter, and so was Roddy. So I picked their brains about it. So it was kind of brewing over a couple of years. And then when that MTV project happened, they asked me if I wanted to be the head agent, and I jumped at the chance, and that was kind of like the first time I got my feet wet. That was it.
Dude, how was your time in WCW? Because it doesn't seem politically that you really had a lot of people lobbying for your cause.
Well, I know you've been very vocal about it over the years, and I think there's some similar things. You know, they would tell you, we ain't got nothing for you. We can't understand your character. There was a lot of guys who were against me because of the problems I had with Konnan. I'm sure you'll get to that. I just didn't fit in. And, at the time, there was a lot of big dicks swinging, right? There was a lot of somas being used. Everybody was all steroided out of their minds. There was stupid amounts of money. And there wasn't a lot of room for a new guy like me to come in and light a fire under a lot of people's ashes, because I was gung-ho, man. I was at my peak. I was ready to rock. And I hated it, to be honest with you. The coolest thing about WCW is it got me the fan base that I have now who are responding on Twitter. It's got me on your show. But I fucking hated WCW can go fuck themselves 10 times over. If WCW had a reunion today, I would buy a ticket just to tell them to suck my dick.
Hey, you brought up Konnan. Let's go there, because that's an interesting story in and of itself. The feud with Konnan, shoot, work, what's the deal?
That's what I'd like to know.
What happened?
Man, I think it was a shoot. And I say that because when I got to Mexico, Konnan was the guy, right? Konnan was fucking Hulk Hogan. He was just Konnan. He was the big foreigner, and he was extremely muscular, and he was the new kid on the block, and he had all the heat. And all of a sudden, I came in. Had no physique, just this, and I was doing my thing, and I became like the new sensation overnight. And I think when you're creative and you're into what you're doing and you're as passionate as you are, as some of us get, I think he was really easily manipulated by guys in the office. And you had asked, were there guys in the dressing room jealous of you? Of course there were, and they were jealous of him too, so they would play us against each other. He said this, he did that. You see what he's doing? He's getting more over than you. And that really fucking ate him alive, a lot more than it did me, to the point where I think he wanted to kill me at one time, apparently. But, yeah, he hated me, bro. He fucking hated me. And he did everything in his power to block me everywhere on the planet. And that's basically what happened when AAA started. He went there, and I stayed at the Arena Mexico, and it was like the blood feud for like 10 years. When he finally went to WCW, he was there for 2 years before I went. He had the ear of Luger and Hall and Nash and every other swinging dick up there that was in charge, and he was like, bury this fucking guy. And they made my life hell for 2 years. And that's kind of what happened. He told Eric Bischoff I was a problem, and it was just really bad. But honest to God, I took him aside in WCW, and we went into a room, and I said, we're either going to fucking kill each other right here, right now, or this has to stop, man, because you're fucking with my livelihood. And I can't stand it that every time I see you, I don't know if you're going to jump or what the fuck. I said, so if we're going to fight or something, let's just get this over with. And we had a 5-hour talk, man. And we kind of we worked it all out, and it's been a rocky road, but we're straight. There's been no heat since then, but it was bad, man. It was bad. It was shit. It was going to go down, and something bad was going to happen.
Now,
yeah, it was like that.
How do you guys coexist now in Lucha Underground?
I think there's a respect thing, because whether you like it or not, I told the guy, and he just told me the other day too. I said, "Look, motherfucker, I've been with you for 25 years. I've been with you longer than your wife." I said, and we've been through. We've seen people die. We've seen our friends come and go. I said, we've been all over the world together. We've grown up together since we were 19 years old. We're 48 now. So what the fuck? And I said, we either I don't want to go to the movies with you, and I'm sure I'm not coming over to your house for dinner. But when I see you, I'll be the first guy to hug you and shake your hand and give you your place, man, because, you went to war just like I did. And you got your own demons, man. The good thing is God bless you. You're still alive. And whatever the fuck you did for you. And that was that, man. And we just kind of be cool like that, right?
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on PodcastOne.
Do you own a home or condo? Or perhaps you rent a house or apartment? Sure you do. And Geico knows it can be hard work. Because whether you own or rent, you still have to fill it full of your stuff. Your furniture, the flat screen, and all the boxes of stuff that have been sitting there ever since you moved in, but haven't unpacked. It's hard to find the time, right? But you know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowner's or renter's insurance along with your auto policy. That way, you'll rest easy knowing that your home and all your stuff is protected, like the furniture and that flat screen. Plus, getting a quote on homeowners and renters insurance is super easy through Geico. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. You know, like going through all those boxes of stuff. Visit geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com.
Hey, man, how's your body feeling right now? You mentioned, or just listened to Matt Stryker talk about the commentary of the match with you and Pentagon Jr. You've had several neck surgeries, right? You broke your back. Tell me about some of the injuries you've weathered inside the squared circle as it pertains to the business of pro wrestling.
Well, I got, like we all do, Steve. You know, you've had them too. You knee surgeries and all that kind of shit in your neck. That, we're only human beings. Nobody told us to fall on your fucking head for a living for 20 years, right? So things add up. Twist your knee here, you sprain your arm there. You shoot some Deca so it doesn't hurt tomorrow type thing, and then 10 years later you can't walk, right? And you think? Nobody told me that Viagra was a heart medicine. I didn't know. It just adds up, man. But I got most of my serious injuries when I was, working with the police. When I started to get out of wrestling and I was, training the Krav Maga stuff for the Federal Academy of Police in Mexico, and, I had to be on call. When there were things that went down, you had to accompany your troops to do certain things. And there was times, man, there was 2 situations where I was going to be kidnapped. I had to jump out of a building. When I hit the ground, that broke my back. That was it. That was my big injury. So after that kind of healed up, I had trouble putting on my shoes. I couldn't even tie my running shoes. I was really in pain. But until I started lifting weights again and left the painkillers behind and just put my time in the gym, everything was bad, man. As soon as I stopped taking bumps, my shoulder hurt, my neck hurt, my fucking earlobe hurt, my eyelid hurt, everything hurt. But as soon as I started getting back into combat and fighting in the Krav Maga and training and lifting weights, everything went away. So I don't know if that's good or bad.
When you jump out of a window and break your back, what are you doing? You're just laying there on the ground waiting for somebody to come get you?
Well, I was asleep, and I heard voices outside my bedroom door, and, I scared the shit out of me. So I jumped out of bed, and in Spanish, I was like, what the fuck? And then I heard 3 or 4 guys say, open the door. And I'm like, I can't believe somebody's actually robbing my house. But then I heard the guns click, you get that distinct sound when the fucking cartridge goes in. And I counted 5, and I'm like, I'm being kidnapped. And I thought I can open the door, take a beating, and probably get dragged out of my house or shot right here or jump out the window. And I fell 3 stories, and I landed on my feet. So that impact kind of compressed all my vertebrae, right? I couldn't move. It felt like I got kicked in the nuts and the wind knocked on me at the same time. It was just so painful. And before I could even do anything, I got clocked. They knocked me in the head with a rifle butt and put me on the ground. And when the gun was going to go into my mouth, I heard the word, stop, párale. It's a jefe, it's the boss. And they pulled the hoods off, and it was my officers, the guys I was training. And they were like, sorry, boss, we just got the orders, so we had to take this guy out. And they just fucking bailed. And that was it, man. They put me in the hospital, and I was laying on the gurney, and Internal Affairs came, and they said, who was it? And I said, I didn't see. And that's when I left Guadalajara and moved back to Mexico City.
Dude,
how's that?
Your own guys?
Yeah.
So then ambush, but then who made the stop?
They didn't shoot me because they thought it was me. They didn't know it was me. They just got the order.
Yeah. They were just supposed to do something that ended up being you, and all of a sudden they get down there, it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do? Continue laying on the ground, or you go to the hospital, or what?
Went to the hospital and got the brace, and it just took the pain, man. Got to remember, Mexico City doesn't have the same medical facilities as Los Angeles does.
God damn it. Hey, you mentioned Bruiser Brody in a phone call when we were talking yesterday, as far as being one of the guys up in Montreal. And this obviously before, he met his demise down there in Puerto Rico. Did you ever get a chance to work with Brody, talk with Brody, learn anything from Brody?
I was scared of Brody.
I think everybody was.
Yeah, but I got to travel. They used to call it a loop back then, right?
Yep.
And we went on the loop, and he was up, because he was doing time in AWA because of Rick. And then Rick would come over to Montreal to help out that promotion. Ric Flair would come up every now and then. And then when Brody would come in, or Jumbo would come in, Saruda, it would be a big deal. So when Brody came in, brother, he was the simplest fucking guy. Just his boots and the old neoprene knee pad and the tape on his hands. And I didn't know anything back then. I was just a 14, 15-year-old kid, but these guys would be fucking jacked up. They, roided out, drinking coffee out of their fucking minds. I'm sure they were doing some party favors before going to the ring. And he'd bang that fucking chain on the floor, and he'd scare the shit out of everybody before he'd go in the ring. So I just used to watch that, man, and I was like, Bruiser Brody, I never heard of this fucking guy before. But to see him work, man, he would come up, like you see him in Japan swinging that fucking chain. Same thing, man. He would clear out the stadium. He would just run all over the place. And it was him and Rick Martel. He was like butter with Rick, but shit. And he was real quiet, man. He was just real quiet. I hardly had any interaction with him. What's he going to talk to me about? But I did see him. I spent time there, and I watched it firsthand. So it was a hell of an experience for a young guy, right?
Yeah, speaking of guys that you were up close and personal with, I mean, obviously you worked with Eddie Guerrero, probably friends with Eddie Guerrero. He's one of the greatest of all time, in my opinion. Were you around when him and Art Barr were a tag team together, and they had so much heat down there in Mexico?
Yeah, I mean, it was. Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah,
in the hotel, Von Erich, Chris Adams, Vampiro, Norman Smiley, King Haku, Eddie Guerrero, Mando Guerrero, Chavo Guerrero, Hector Guerrero, and Art Barr.
Jesus Christ, are you shitting me?
And at the tail end of it, a young Chris Jericho.
I'll be damned. So what was that?
Fuck, man. We used to have these cookouts in the hotel rooms on Monday night. We would watch Monday Night Raw. Everybody would bring over a little stovetop, and we would cook whatever we could, noodles or chicken or whatever the fuck it was. But Eddie, I'm so sad that I never touched base with Eddie at the tail end of things, because I read his book and I see where he spoke bad about me. But that's not the Eddie I knew, man. I knew Eddie when he was in Mexico City, and I would go to the store with him and buy diapers for his baby, because his family was living in the hotel with him at that time. And he would take me to the ring by myself and teach me how to hit the ropes. And we would go for Chinese food and all that kind of shit. And I didn't know that tail end of WCW, WWE Eddie. I didn't know that guy. I just remember my friend from another time, right? And it was really hard, man. And Art Barr was there too, man. Art Barr, it was so strange one night, because he came. We were on the road together, and we were, Art and I used to work together, and we used to fuck around together. And Art was kind of the one that made me kind of try all these crazy things, medicine and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And he, because Roddy Piper would come down there all the time and do these movies, and that was another story. But fucking Art Barr came up to us one night, and he hugged Chris Jericho and hugged Norman Smiley, and he gave me a hug, and he said, I'll see you guys later. And I was like, what the fuck was that all about, right? So I went to Acapulco to do a shot, and I got a phone call for about 3 o'clock in the morning. My beeper, it wasn't even cell phones, fucking beeper's going off, and it says, call Norman. So I called Norman. He says, hey, I just got a phone call from Art's wife. Art passed away. And it was like, I don't understand. Well, none of us could even fathom or understand what happened. We couldn't. It just didn't compute. You know what I mean? Cause
right.
It just didn't make sense. And yeah, I was there for the whole thing, man.
So, do you think he intentionally went to commit suicide?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't. Art had a problem. Art was going through, marital problems. And there was something there that was kind of weird, right? And then Art had a history before, as you well know. And, he was in Portland, and he had his shot in WCW. And, we don't need to say because the fans really don't need to know the dirty stuff, but you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
There was something behind the scenes there, and all that kind of stuff was haunting him, you know what I mean? I can tell you this, though, Steve. You don't see a lot of people who love their little boy like Art loved his little boy. So I don't know, man. I don't think so. He was doing too many things, man, and he started getting a bad habit, and I think it was just too much of a good thing, and
right.
It was an accident, bro.
I didn't know that there was any bad blood towards the end with you and Eddie Guerrero.
I didn't either until his book came out.
What did he say in the book?
I think it was something about I couldn't be trusted and I wasn't a true friend or something. Just stupid shit.
Right.
Just wrestling stuff. But I love Eddie, man, and Eddie's the guy who got me my job in WCW. My audition match was against him. Eddie and I were road dogs together down there in Mexico City for years. So, and Chavo and Mondo and Hector, they were there to basically teach me how to survive down there. Haku and Chavo Guerrero Sr. were my babysitters. So I don't know, man. Wrestling's a weird thing to get into, right?
It's definitely a mix of some interesting personalities.
No doubt, brother. Our whole culture, our whole history has its own language. The Carney language, which is being forgotten. Our origins, where we come from, why we even exist, why Lucha Libre is so important. All that stuff that happened in the 1920s and 30s around the border towns. The word gringo. Do you even know where the word gringo comes from?
No, where?
Gringo is the term that the Mexicans would say to the American army. Green go. Green go home. Gringo.
Are you shitting me?
They couldn't pronounce it. No, man. So when the carnivals used to float around, they used to do these strongman competitions, and last 10 minutes in the ring with our world heavyweight champion wrestler. All that stuff was before wrestling started in Mexico. So all the Mexicans would go into the ring with this big monstrous guy from France or this big strong man from Arkansas who ate fucking steel. And the carnies would have that carny kayfabe language, and they would have a guy in the crowd who would come in and get stretched out in 30 seconds, and nobody would fight the guy. That's how pro wrestling came into being down there, and it was turned into a work. All that shit. And little Eddie Guerrero's father grew up in that stuff. So there's a lot of things that I was very fortunate enough to be a part of, history-wise.
What did you think about? In your opinion, with being down there in Mexico as long as you were, man, I was just briefly reading about some of the history of Lucha Libre because and just the whole start of wrestling over there. Now that I've kind of started watching Lucha Underground, I've always enjoyed the lucha work when I was down in Mexico filming one of my shows. Just the athleticism, the techniques, and how technical all the guys are. It's a lot of talent. But, man, here's the thing I was checking out today on the computer, that Salvador Luderoth founded Empresa Mexicana de Lucha Libre, which is now CMLL, in 1933. It's the oldest active wrestling promotion in the world. I did not know that.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It is the oldest thing, and it was actually one of the first promotions anywhere in the world that embraced the original NWA. We're talking Lou Thesz, Frank Gotch, Hackenschmidt, all these old school guys. You go to the arena in Mexico, and in the office, they have all these original belts, photos, all these old statues from bronze, of Olympic wrestling stuff and Greek wrestling and all this kind of shit. Yeah, man, it's been around. And they had a big deal in the 60s and 70s because the original NWA light heavyweight belt, which is like the Mecca, they had the original one down there. I was even fortunate enough to have that at one point in time. They actually still got it. but something happened in the 70s where they kind of broke off from the original NWA. This was even before Flair was in there. But yeah, Mexico has its history. Don't make no mistake about it, bro. They are the oldest promotion in the world, older than anybody else. And then they've been in the same building running every Friday night since 1930.
Dude, did you were you influenced by any of those early lucha guys, or you just pretty much wanted to do your style and that because your style isn't really lucha?
I don't think I have a style, man. I never learned how to be a wrestler. I was a good gimmick, and I was a charismatic guy. I kind of learned from watching tapes. I can't lie, man. There's some wrestlers out there. I'm almost embarrassed sometimes when they put my name in the same sentence with these historical figures, icons in our sport, in our business. I was really never a good wrestler, man. I can't lie. I was pretty cool, though.
Hey, dude, sometimes being pretty cool is all that puts the asses in the seats.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt.
How did you get the Lucha Underground gig as a commentator?
My name was floating around. I think I was one of the last guys invited to be part of the project. I was done with wrestling. I was working full-time with the government and the police in Mexico City. I had my Krav Maga school there. And Dorian Roldan, who is the owner of AAA, suggested to Chris DeJoseph that they try me on the table with Matt Stryker, and one thing led to the other, and that was that. So I went from being on the table to being involved as an agent and semi-producer and other things, to say the least, behind the scenes, and it's worked out great, man. I think I'm having more fun now than I've ever had at any other time in my career.
How long did it take you to Matt Stryker to create the chemistry that you guys have? Was it instantaneous? Was it a work in progress?
It's kind of like you, man. It's like I feel like I've known you all my life, right? And when you said, let me call you up, and you called me up the other day, I was like, holy fuck, that's Steve Austin, man. And I just felt like you're my boy. And me and Matt, we met, and I was like, he goes, I met you a couple of years ago, and you were always nice to me. And I said, well, fuck, what are we going to do tonight? He says, well, I got some notes. I said, okay, you keep your notes, brother. And I took a shot of Jägermeister, and I said, let's fucking go. And that was it.
Hey, what has been your approach to promos? Because some of the promos you've cut in Lucha Underground and going back to the promo with Sting, which is a long promo, and we didn't even get into that program because I know that wasn't the greatest period of your life. But what's your approach to promos? Because you're obviously great on the stick. What's your mindset and your approach?
Well, I remember Vince Russo telling me that I was horrible on the mic. And he couldn't understand. He would say to me, I tell The Undertaker to say something, and he gets it right away, and you can't get shit. So I thought to myself, well, I obviously have to work on this a little bit. And then I watched Piper's Pit and watching Roddy, rest in peace, man. But watching Roddy, and I just thought, just be a character, be fluid, learn. And this is really weird. And this is exactly what came to my mind. Fidel Castro and Che Guevara trained in the Arena Mexico in the 60s to take lucha libre as a combat style back to Cuba for the revolution. Did you know that?
No.
They did. And their pictures are on the gym wall and everything. It's no joke. It's a complete shoot. So when I was sitting there trying to figure out this thing and I was watching Roddy Piper, I remember reading about Che Guevara, how he would position the microphones at different angles when he went to speak at the United Nations,
right,
to get different tones of voice. So I thought, fuck, that's it. Just lower your voice, change the angle of your head, move your hands, become animated, but tell a story. Just make it like a match. Job the guy out, be a dick, be sarcastic, but at the end of the day, the guy has to come off bigger than life. So that's kind of how I did it, and I guess it's working.
But it's interesting, now that you mentioned, because it jumped right off the page at me. I was back watching some of your promos. That one promo you cut on Sting. You're constantly, every time you come up with a sentence, they're shooting you chest up with the camera. You'll switch hands with the mic and come at a different angle. Drop the mic down, boom, it's in your other hand. If you go back and watch, it's probably Vampiro promo and Sting or whatever. You'll find it on YouTube. But there's about 4 or 5 minutes of you talking like that, of all the things, you're running him down, what you're going to do to him, but it's all those angles and mic changes. I thought it was highly effective, and I'd never seen that done before.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, man. But, yeah, that's where I got it from those guys.
Well, it worked out pretty good.
I think so. It got me on the most important podcast in the world.
Hey, how fun are you guys having at the Lucha Underground thing? Is it a team effort? How competitive is that atmosphere?
Listen, and only you're going to understand this. Maybe some of the guys who listen to this, who've been to the show, are going to get it. A lot of maybe even some of the guys that are doing the indie stuff and have that big hope and dream, which I all hope you do get. The casual fan probably won't understand it because they've never been there. I'm telling you now, and I swear to God, I have never seen a place so fucking cool and laid back and friendly and open as the dressing room in Lucha Underground, the office, the staff, the producers, the whole fucking thing, man. It's one big family. Everybody's on a first name basis. Everybody's in a good mood. Everybody's friendly. It's just a really cool place to be. If you want to go, you get there early on purpose because it's just a cool place. They got a full gym. They got a full practice ring in the studio. It's just, and everybody's in there just fucking around and doing things. Man, I don't know. It's just a lot of fun to be at. It's a lot of fun.
When they pitch you the idea, and the idea that it's basically a television show and not so much like wrestling, like a promotion or like a territory. It's a television show. And the unique way, Daryl Cueto, they brought him on, and I initially didn't like him, and now, of course, I love him. He's a great heel because I didn't get it at first. But what were you thinking about, dude? You're a hardcore, old-school veteran who's been around for 30 years, and they're saying, hey, this is going to be a TV show. Did your time in the choreography school and kind of that type of environment spin you up and you understood what you were getting yourself into, or were you thinking, hey man, this sounds kind of crazy, but what the fuck, it's a gig? How did you take to it?
No, not at all. I thought it was the most artistic thing I ever heard in this business in a long time. You know who Jane's Addiction is?
Oh yes.
Okay, Jane's Addiction used to play concerts in their friends' houses, and there was no fucking way that you would be able to go there unless they invited you. Then they would go on tour, and they wouldn't let the media come in. Didn't matter who the fuck you were. MTV, Rolling Stone, no, you couldn't come into the gig. No guest list, nothing, just the freaks. That's how they kept it for the first few years. And what that did was make everybody want to see it. Everybody wanted to be a part of it, just like Lucha Underground. It's on a small network. You can see it on the internet every now and then. You got to really fucking dig for it. You really got to prove that you're a part of the team, that you're in the family, that you're on board. So I thought, holy shit, these guys are taking, in my mind, that whole rock and roll thing, making it so fucking hard to find. There's only a limited amount of seats. You really got to want to be here. You got to put your time in to get there. I thought, fuck me. This is going to be so popular. And by the time it goes mainstream, it's going to be such a well-oiled machine that it's going to be a really, really, really long run. There's not really anybody who's going to topple it because it's seasonal, and you really got to dig for it. So I thought, fucking hell, that's creative. I've never seen anything like it. I was the first guy. I was doing somersaults. I was going, this is the most brilliant thing I've ever seen.
One thing I like about it is just I like the lighting, I like the camera angles, and the biggest thing I like about it, I think, is it's very original, and you're not trying to be anybody else. You're just trying to be Lucha Underground, and y'all got some great talent over there. I mean, man, y'all got a damn roster full of really, really good talent.
Man, I probably get in trouble for this now. It's okay. I've been in trouble before. When we were about to shoot the season, it was like, who the fuck are we got? We didn't know, man. It's like, well, we shoot next week. Who do we have? I don't know. So we went in, and a lot of the young kids who had never gotten a break, who were just doing local indie stuff in L.A., it was like, hey, you motherfuckers have a chance today to be on the A team.
Right.
They came through. You couldn't have done better. This was the Olympic team in hockey that beat the Russians, man. These fucking guys pulled it off. because they finally had somebody to believe in them. And I'm telling you, man, it was such a beautiful thing to sit behind that desk and watch these people grow. It was great. Pentagon and those guys in Phoenix and all that, they were like first, second match guys in Mexico City. They weren't no big stars.
Well, they might not have been big stars over there, but I mean, they've risen to the occasion on the Lucha Underground show.
The whole show has. The whole show has. It's just been a constant evolvement, and it's just been a pleasure. Really, I haven't had an experience like this in my whole career, and it's pretty amazing.
Hey, man, what is the wrestling scene in Mexico currently? I mean, like, who exists as companies now?
There's probably about 18 good independent promoters throughout the country. And then there's the CMLL. They've always been there. They're not going anywhere. And AAA. So it's been the same for the last 25, 30 years.
Okay, so with respect to CMLL, and I used to catch them when I was down there, and some AAA, I mean, those are the big two, right?
Yeah. That would be Vince and Turner.
Okay, now when we were in the Monday Night Wars and I was WWF, man, even though they were kicking our ass in the ratings, WWF was still, the major leagues, and that was still, the bigs was WWF. Even though they're kicking our ass for 2 years, the big leagues was always WWF. That's where everybody wanted to go or end up. And I spent my time, don't get me wrong, fighting down there in WCW, trying to learn the business. I knew that the WWF was where to go. So with respect to AAA and CMLL, is that pretty much dead even?
No. AAA has definitely surpassed them in a production standpoint and all that kind of thing, and being innovative and having a bigger presence on television and all that stuff. AAA has young blood in the office, you know what I mean? And they're definitely running with the ball, but CMLL, that's the Vatican, man. You know what I mean? All the kids from New Japan, when they come over, they want to go through the Arena Mexico. Muda, he can't even walk. He had to do the Arena Mexico. Everybody, it's Madison Square Garden. You, if you're a wrestler, you want to say that you've gone through the Arena Mexico. That's just the way it is, man. It's the original, right? That's right. The first promotion, and it's the Vatican of pro wrestling, period. AAA is the rock star, no doubt about it. But you want, it's like the Beatles. You want to play in the Cavern Club. The Rolling Stones played there. Fuck, you want to play there. So unless you play the Arena Mexico, man, you haven't sold your oats in the wrestling world, kind of thing. That's the way the kids look at it.
Hey, man, what did you think about Wrestling Japan? Did you dig it or not?
I fucking loved it, man, because I had a lot of girlfriends over there.
But other than a girlfriend, well, I imagine you had those everywhere. But with respect to the ring, the work style, the language barrier, okay, what'd you like about it?
I was a mark, man, because I loved it because I understood it. That was more my style, the big, strong kicks, big, stiff chops, and the long finishes.
Right.
I was a fan. And, the Korakuen Hall and the Tokyo Dome, I didn't like those 873-hour goddamn bus trips to the rice paddy.
Right.
That didn't get me excited. But being in Tokyo, I love the food. I was just into it, man, because, I'm from Thunder Bay, bro. What the fuck am I doing in Tokyo selling out at Korakuen Hall, right? It was pretty cool. I loved it.
Who did you enjoy working with over there?
Muda. Muda was my partner, man. I couldn't go wrong there. And I actually had a match against him. I got to work against rest in peace, and I hope he understands that I love him to death. Steve Williams, I got to work against, and he was my boy. Working with Steve Williams in Japan is another thing. You're gonna get your fucking ass kicked whether you like it or not. I was on the same card. I got to see Stan Hansen in all his glory. That was so cool. And Kawada, I got to work against him. He was another one of my. He was probably the guy that I copied the kicks off of was Kawada. And, he was a huge star in All Japan for years, legendary battles with Misawa. I got to work all those guys that were my heroes from these videotapes. So I was kind of like, marking out all the time. They're like, why are you taking that picture? And I was like, I don't know, man. What we're supposed to do, right?
Hey, dude, how did Muda take to you, pretty much you mimicking his style? I mean, almost a reflection of him?
he laughed at me all the time. He thought I was nuts.
but you guys were cool. Did you get along?
Oh yeah, we got along. Because I respected the fuck out of him, and he knew that, and he just dug it. He dug it, and he was like, he would paint bad words on my face in Japanese, and he would do my makeup, and he would, put "fuck you" and stuff like that. And we would just laugh, and we would have fun, man. And I got to travel with him a little bit, and I got to know his family, and just watching him do the ring psychology and watching him put the. I mean, that's a great mood, man. Whether you like it or not, he's an icon. Period. So just to say that we were partners and to meet your idol and actually work, and then he does a job for you in this country. I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? You can't ask for more than that.
Dude, how terrifying was it to see Stan Hansen when he was really working snug? I mean, I mean that as a compliment. Just because that dude was a motherfucker over there in Japan. When him and Brody would come to the damn ring, swinging the chains or the ropes, whatever they were bringing, and then when those guys got in the ring with those other guys, I mean, dude, that was some serious shit. It might as well have been MMA because they was laying their shit in.
We made a videotape. Me, Art Barr, and Norman Smiley, and Haku. We would all get halcyon up on a Monday night. We would fucking watch Stan Hansen clothesline guys' noses out of their ass. They would fucking Stan. Oh my God! If anybody ever gets a chance to go on YouTube and just put in lariat or clothesline Stan Hansen in Japan. Holy shit! I don't know what was going on in the early '90s, and Steve Williams and those guys, and Kawada and Brody even in the '80s, and Jumbo Tsuruta, and what the fuck were they thinking, clotheslining their heads off like that? I don't know how you can work that, man. That's like a fight. That's like getting hit in the head with a baseball bat. Man, it was funny. I laughed my ass off.
It's so funny though, but it's almost like the Japanese people when Stan and Brody would come to the ring swinging those cowbells. It's almost like an honor to be hit with one of those damn things. And this was back in the old days when they would sit in pillows rather than chairs.
Yeah, it's the honest to God truth, man. But you know why they hate the Americans so much, right? Because they're all fucked up about the war still, right? So they had these two big giants come in, and I don't know, man. Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody in Japan. When Stan Hansen would come out and I was in the ring and he would walk down, he was like the commissioner, and I was just like, holy fuck, that is a scary sight. He's just this big fucking guy. I used to think, what would I do if I had a singles match with him? And I know that he was going to headbutt me, drop that big fucking 800-pound elbow, kick me in the back, slap the shit out of me, and then clothesline me, and then get mad at me if I didn't hit him back. I don't know how I would have handled that.
You know what? I only got a chance to. I think I probably shook Stan's hand one time. I was in WCW. I think this was right after he had worked on a brief program with Lex Luger. He spit the tobacco juice on him and everything. And I was walking into the arena at Chattanooga, and he was walking out. And
did Lex cry because he ruined his feathery Farrah Fawcett hair?
Oh, God damn. It was hilarious when they were doing that angle. Because I can't imagine that Luger liked that too much. But
did you see Luger jump out of the cage when Brody was going to fucking slice him up?
Dude, yeah. What was going on there? Did you ever get any backstory on that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, what was the story? Because, did Brody just not respect Luger or the push that he was getting and was no selling him?
Well, Luger was like, I don't want to take this chop. I don't want to take that bump. And, I'm the new guy on the block, and I'm getting over. And Brody was like, hold on a second. He did the fucking Tony Montana. Sniff, 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 sniff. Finger fucking, every finger was taped up with blades, and he was like, let's go.
Is that what happened?
That's what happened, man. And I got that from first-hand experience. Guys who were right there. Brody put a blade on every finger, fucking gimmicked himself up, scar-faced it, went in the ring, and he was like, come on, kid.
God damn. Is that a shoot?
That's a shoot, brother.
God damn, that's crazy as hell. It's funny, there's one match, if you go on YouTube, it's Brody Hansen, and they're working Dr. Death Steve Williams, and Terry Gordy, who was phenomenal. Those four badasses in the ring. And it's funny because when you watch Brody Hansen watch with most cats, I mean, they're just demolishing them. But you can see mutual respect being displayed. They're working snug, but not stiff. There's a difference because of the respect that they had across the ring from each other. So they was putting on a show for the crowd, and this is over in Japan. They was laying their shit in, but it was a whole different level.
Yeah, well, because don't forget now that when Brody couldn't come, it was Stan and Gordy.
Right.
They were partners.
Ah, yeah, I didn't even think about that. But there was a lot of respect.
When, oh, yeah, because that was the Freebird. That was they were still doing their thing in the AWA and all that kind of stuff. But when Brody he was doing his deal in Puerto Rico or whatever it was, there was Stan and Gordy. They were the team. They had the belts and everything. That was the deal.
God damn, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Hey, other than the Road Warriors, because you saw them, you say, hey man, I got to do this. Early on in your career, other than Great Muta, who were people that caught your eye or influenced you? Obviously, Roddy Piper, a big on presentation, promos, and stuff like that. But who else?
Roddy Piper, and obviously, like probably every other person our age, Hulk Hogan, of course. Hogan was, that was when the Rocky movie came out. This was before, like I said, Vince had national TV, right? So Hogan was Hogan. But we got a videotape, man, and we saw the Von Erichs, and we saw the Missing Link. We weren't really fans of the Von Erichs, but we saw the heels, the way they worked down there in Texas around that time. I mean, there was Wahoo, and then there was Manny Fernandez and all these guys. And we would watch the tapes, and they would chop the fucking shit out of each other. They would slap each other so hard that they would bleed. And I was like, holy fuck, what's going on here? But yeah, that was kind of it, man. Because you got to remember, back then, there really wasn't a lot of wrestling available. But I think the biggest crazy one from all of us in Canada would be Mad Dog Vachon.
Really?
Yeah, of course.
How tough?
Mad Dog Vachon, he's in the lumber yard, and he's working out, and he's making a coffin. And Mean Gene comes in, and he peeps open the door, and Mad Dog, what are you doing here? Who's doing this? And he says, I'm making this coffin for Rick Martel. It was fucking awesome. I was like, holy shit, you're going to fucking kill this guy. Bro, that was awesome. That was the shit. That's what got us going.
Dude, how did you hook up with the Insane Clown Posse, and they made their presence felt there in WCW?
Well, Insane Clown Posse. Let me tell you something. Do you know them at all? Do you have any?
I think it's like we were talking the other day on the phone. I didn't even remember meeting Muhammad Ali until I saw a picture of me and Paula Orndorff talking with him, getting on it. Paul was getting some boxing gloves signed by him. So I probably have met them, but it might have been back in the day. But so not very much. I don't remember.
Okay, well, Violent J is probably the biggest wrestling fan on this planet. If there's anybody who's got a bigger wrestling belt, paraphernalia, wrestling tape collection bigger than him in the world, I'd like to meet him. And the other guy, Shaggy, Too Dope, the other guy, is also, I got a story about him I'm going to tell you in a sec, but they were just finishing up in ECW and WWE. The Misfits thing kind of got over, but, they had a falling out. They started to drive J.J. Dillon crazy, and they kind of got fired, and Steve Williams killed one of the guys, so my angle was over. And Eric Bischoff said, we got something for you. We're going to bring these guys in the Insane Clown Posse. And I met them there at Monday Nitro, and we just kind of hit it off, and we became friends. And it was huge because we were all kind of the same kind of goofy sense of humor. We're all fans of the same thing, and we just started, me with the music, and they were fans of wrestling, and it just clicked, We just became like brothers after that for a long, long time, to this day, actually.
So, dude.
So that happened.
So what is the Night of the Juggalos? What is a Juggalo?
Well, Juggalo is, Juggalo, a lot of the music, the earlier music, the serial killer cut your head off type thing.
Right.
So jugular, the jugular vein in your neck, that's where you would go for, right? So if you're a Juggalo, that's the name they gave their fan base. You can almost compare it to like the Deadheads in the Grateful Dead. So anybody who is an ICP fan who puts on the makeup and follows it and makes the commitment, you become a Juggalo. Just like, you see Black Label Society, everybody's got the vest, you know. That's the way it is, and they've got over 1 million strong, and they're pretty cool kids. So the Juggalos, they have a gathering every year. It's kind of like their version of a Woodstock, and every underground hip hop artist go, mainstream artists go. There's over 20,000 people. It's the most awesome event. They got wrestling. They got wrestling at night in the cornfield, no lights, and all the kids bring flashlights, and the guys get in the ring. It's just a fucking great time, man. It's a party.
I'm glad someone finally explained it to me, because I was like, man, I must be the dumbest sumbitch on planet Earth, because I don't know what these guys are talking about.
Well, there's not a lot of juggalos in country music. But they're fucking great guys, man. One time I was in Los Angeles. You remember Rob Black had that XPW thing in Los Angeles? You ever hear that promotion? The porno guy did that promotion?
No.
Well, I was working for this one guy, and he was a porno producer. So he had all these fucking weirdos and all the ECW guys, and all the chicks were the porno chicks from the movie. So you can imagine what that scene was like.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I show up there one night, man, and I see all these fucking guys painted like Ted Bundy and all these serial killers, all these big fucking 400-pound guys with piercings in their fucking ass and their balls and their eyes. They all got bloody machetes. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man? I said, I'm coming here to wrestle. I didn't know what was going on. You know, New Jack was there, all fucking piped out, throwing guys off the roof, and I was like, someone's going to die tonight, man. So I go in the dressing room, and there's this one guy, and he's like a killer clown, you know, like that Ted Bundy. He looks just like him. And I was there with ICP. So I don't know what was wrong with this guy, but he was all fucking pissed off, and he got hot that ICP had the clown gimmick on. So I don't know what he did, man. He was doing a promo, and he hit this fucking kid in the head with a shovel, and he tried to bury the kid alive. It was the most fucked up thing I've ever saw. And I was like, I got to wrestle this motherfucker in a tag team match, me and ICP against him and these other fucking guys with machetes and all this kind of shit. So one of the guys in ICP was like, man, I'm a rapper. These fucking idiots are going to hurt me on purpose, and I don't want to be here. So we're going out to the ring, and I'm like, well, where's Joe? Where's Violent J? And they're like, well, he left, man. What the fuck do you mean he left? And I was like, I don't know. So Shaggy, Too Dope, was there, the other guy, the other rapper, and he's a small guy. He's believe me, he'll kick your ass. He's a street guy.
Right.
But he said, fuck it, I'll do it. And I'm telling you right now, man, he stepped up to bat. He went in the ring. He fucking toe-to-toe with everybody, took every bump, did some hellacious moves, and he never backed down. And to me, that was a true warrior, you know, because a lot of guys in this business are kind of get weirded out by things like that. You know, guys with bloody machetes and shit.
Hey, when are you going to make it out here to L.A.?
Fuck, as soon as possible, man. There's a big rumor, Lucha Underground Season 2, right?
Right.
So I come out twice a month, man. So I'm set to come out soon.
Well, man, I'm going to be here for a while. When you come down, let's go grab something to eat or just sit down and shoot the shit in person. I mean, 'cause we got a chance to go over some pretty cool shit, but it'd be awesome to sit across the table from you and shoot the breeze.
No doubt, man. I love that, brother. And I got to tell you, man, thank you so much. Being on your podcast is a big deal. I know you hear it all the time, but I'm going to tell you like it is. I've been around. This is my 34th year in the business. This is a big fucking deal to be on your show, and I'm so grateful that you invited me, and I hope the fans that follow you like the interviews. I can't believe you did 2 of them with me, and I'm telling you, one of the highlights in my career is this. Another one will be meeting you in person, man. I respect you. I copy all your moves. I steal all your facial expressions. I just wish I had a fucking credit card with the same credit limit as you did, but, you know, it is what it is.
Hey, man, I tell you what, we both have some pretty interesting rides, but we got to hook up in person, and I hope that Lucha Underground gets another season, and whether it's filmed in Mexico, L.A., that all remains to be seen. But, man, if you're down here, it'd be my pleasure to go just sit down, shoot the shit, have a beer or two, or just eat some damn food and talk about the business again. I
mean, it would be pretty fucking cool if Lucha Underground was in L.A. and somebody named Steve Austin just popped by and had a beer with me on the air. I'm just saying. That would be a cool moment.
Anything could happen.
Hey, Hey, man, I'm just thank you so much, man, for having me on your show, bro. And I'll see you soon.
Hey, man, and then we talked last week, but once again, I love the match in Ultima Lucha. Hope you guys, get to the next season, and best of luck in everything you do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us for another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show. Please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and tell your friends. For more Steve Austin Show, go to PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
All month long on Pluto TV, stream the biggest Tyler Perry movies free. Watch your favorites like Medea's Witness Protection and Medea's Big Happy Family. Join Tyler Perry as he goes on a couples retreat with Sharon Leal in Why Did I Get Married? Or Idris Elba and Gabrielle Union in the Tyler Perry directed film Daddy's Little Girls. Plus, Pluto TV has hundreds of channels with thousands more movies and TV shows. Available on live and on demand. Download the free Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices and start streaming now. Pluto TV. Drop in, watch free.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to T-Pain's Nappy Boy Radio Podcast, the most fun you'll ever listen to while you're folding your clothes. Now let's get this straight, this is not your average podcast. T-Pain's Nappy Boy Radio is super fun, super crazy. It's pretty much an in-your-face conversation. That's the good thing about us. We don't do interviews, we do conversations. All of my guests, all of my co-hosts, we chill, we drink, we play games, we have the song of the week, we have the creative curse word of the week, as long as you're having fun as our guest. Speaking of guests, each week I'm going to go through my whole contact list and dive head first into the world of music, gaming, exotic cars, tech, strippers probably, doctors probably strippers that are only stripping so they can pay for tuition to become a doctor. You never know. My wife is a certified bartender. She'll make you a drink while you're here. We'll get you drunk and make you play VR after. It's a lot going on. But that's what it's all about over here at T-Pain's Nappy Boy Radio Podcast. See you soon, baby!
Yo, what's good? It's your boy, Big Brother Jake, a.k.a. Jake Warner, my government name. Check it out. I host a show called the Big Brother Jake Podcast, and I've taken my talents to the biggest and baddest platform on the planet. That's right, baby, PodcastOne. My show is unique as I talk about everything. Life, sports, entertainment, being a single dad juggling several jobs. I'm a hot mess, but it's damn entertaining. Subscribe and review now on Apple Podcasts and listen on PodcastOne or wherever you get your podcasts.